What's the secret ingredient that's leading to weight gain? Up to 20 pounds a year, if not more. So the secret ingredients that I'm referring to are those found in ultra-processed foods. And if you're a typical American, 60% of your calories are coming from ultra-processed foods. What's an ultra-processed food? Typically, the ingredients are more than 10. So you look at the ingredient list, it has 10 or more ingredients. It tends to have things that you can't pronounce, like carrageenan, binders, fillers, artificial sweeteners. It's got a lot of chemicals. These ultra-processed foods are very palatable. They're hyper palatable, actually, meaning they taste delicious on your palate, on your tongue. You crave them. The chemicals in them cause cravings, and they taste very good, and they're really a chemistry experiment if you look at the ingredients. And in our country, 60% of our calories, as I mentioned, coming from these foods. In the UK, it's 50%, just a little bit better. But in Portugal, it's 10%. So this is not true around the world that ultra-processed foods take up such a majority of our calories. But certainly here in the US, that is a problem, and it's absolutely occurring in robust numbers, and especially with our children. I say especially not because we as adults don't matter, but unfortunately starting so young and getting your palate sort of attuned to these types of foods turns you into someone who just craves them the rest of your life, and that's very unfortunate. So what do we need to do? The food manufacturers that survive on ultra-processed foods and you purchasing them will tell you that it's not their food, that you have to choose ultra-processed food that doesn't have a lot of sugar, or doesn't have a lot of salt, or doesn't have a lot of fat. Kind of good luck finding that, because most of them are like that. But what they say is, no, we can make a healthier version, we can tweak this for that, and we can put artificial sweeteners instead of the real sweetener, sugar, and that will make it healthier. We've really learned a lot about artificial sweeteners. They're definitely not healthier. They have a lot of negative health effects. So that's not an answer. And really what spawned this conversation today was a National Institute of Health, NIH study, where they took participants, and over the course of 2 weeks, they fed them a diet in a situation where they controlled completely what was going in the mouths of these participants. So the two diets, one was a completely whole food diet, so no ultra-processed ingredients were there in the diet at all. And then the other one was basically 100% ultra-processed. Now, they had the same number of calories, the same amount of salt, sweet, etc. So they tried to keep it really balanced. And this is where we learned something very fascinating. So it wasn't about the salt and the sugar and the fat, because the people, both of them liked the diet. So both groups liked what they were being fed. They found it very palatable and satisfying. However, those on the ultra-processed side found themselves wanting some more food. And so, again, everything they ate was completely visible and measured, and they knew exactly what they were eating. But it was only that group getting the ultra-processed food that said, I want more, I want more. And so on average, through the 2 weeks, the ultra-processed group was eating 200 calories a day more than the whole food, real food group. Now that 200 calories a day will turn into 20 pounds, a 20-pound weight gain in a year. So significant weight gain, and that was just over the course of 2 weeks. So who knows whether, I think we've seen people who gain a lot more than 20 pounds in a year, and the obesity epidemic in this country is severe. So why was that? So it wasn't the salt and the fat and the sugar. It was these other ingredients. It was the chemistry experiment ingredients that they feel. So what it was attributed to are these other ingredients, these unnatural ingredients that affect what's called our microbiome, which is all the organisms in our large intestine, totaling somewhere in the range of 38 trillion. And our microbiome dictates the health of our immune system. It balances hormones. It sort of creates the milieu or the kind of the environment of your body. And these highly processed foods tend to create a very inflammatory environment. And we know that inflammation of the body is attributes us to, leads us toward all the diseases we're trying to avoid. So heart disease, cancer, diabetes, cognitive decline found in Alzheimer's, and obesity. So inflammation is the bad guy in this story, and it's the ultra-processed foods that are at the root of creating that inflammation. So I'm not saying you couldn't just do pure sugar cane, which has not been processed particularly, and not create inflammation as well, but we're specifically talking about the difference between good whole foods and these ultra-processed foods and all these chemicals that have that it factor that's leading toward this increase of inflammation. So hopefully that was good data for you to have. 60% of our calories, we've got to be like Portugal. We got to get it down to 10%. And it's amazing the difference. And we talk about this as a team all the time, because part of what we do here at Root Cause is we do help our patients really clean up their diet. And some people, start fairly good. Some people are way off the mark, just sort of living on fast food. So we see all spectrums, and we frequently kind of smile and go, wow, that part's easy, because we see a lot of complex cases and do a lot of advanced lab tests and, finding a lot of different things that can occur in the human body. And sometimes you just sit back and go, wow, they cleaned up their diet and they're 80% better. So sometimes it's really the simple things that have the best impact. So I wanted to share that study with you today and urge you to clean up the diet, really get rid of the long list of ingredients. When you go to the grocery store, just don't buy those things. Find an alternative that has less ingredients. And of course, the more you can stick with whole, real food, the better, absolutely. So if you enjoyed this content, please give the channel a thumbs up, subscribe. I definitely want more people to be able to hear this information. And then if you need any help with your health, reach out to us at Root Cause Medical Clinic.